video, my predictions video, I actually said that I was going to do an actual review on Survivor Series, but instead I actually did a review on NXT TakeOver, and I talked about the main event. You guys know how I feel about the main event. I've already vented out in a tired rant before, and I think I actually talked about it before on SmackDown's 900th episode. I don't know, but I might talk about it again. But other than that, let's just move on. This is going to be a Survivor Series review. I know it's late, but I said I was going to do it after Thanksgiving, and I'm just going to continue with that. Now, when it comes to the Survivor Series matches, this is going to be a fairly short review. There were no matches of the night for me. Don't get me wrong, there were some amazing spots, especially in the 5-on-5 men. And honestly, I tip my imaginary hat off to Shane McMahon, because that dude knows how to go, as well as the fact he knows how to put on an amazing show and also put out some amazing spots. But I'm going to be real. That move, that spear from Roman Reigns to Shane McMahon midair for the coast to coast was definitely cringeworthy. I mean, that he hit so hard. Like, it literally just shook my bones. I was like, ugh. Like, it was the worst cringeworthy moment I have ever seen in my entire life. Like, it was just flat out bad. It was cringeworthy. It was absolutely horrible to watch that. But overall, if I have to say that there is a match of the night, I can't necessarily say that. But I will say from the 5-on-5, 10-on-10, 5-on-5 women's, I have to definitely say that the 5-on-5 men's, in my opinion, was one of the better matches of the night. It also, I love the fact that how the Wyatt family were standing together as a band of heels. And I loved it. I love the fact how the Wyatt family was standing tall in the middle of the ring. I enjoyed that because the Wyatt family needs to be pushed. It's just kind of a shame the fact that they're being pushed because Randy Orton is there. But other than that, I'm enjoying it. Like, I'm not going to speak ill of it. I'm just going to say that it's pretty cool. And it's also nice to see Luke Harper. Unfortunately, Luke Harper looks like a complete stooge now. And something's telling me that Luke Harper is going to probably turn face one of these days. Probably be gone from the Wyatt family, and it's just going to be Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. I don't necessarily see Luke Harper staying around. But that's just my overall opinion. But I will say this. I happen to enjoy it a lot, seeing the Wyatt family standing tall in the ring, and I'm hoping that they will actually progress with them later on down the line. Now, when it comes to the women's 5-on-5 match, yes, it's a big who took out Nikki Bella. They're doing the exact same thing that they did with Stone Cold, except minus the car. Now, here's what I'm hoping, and I honestly think that I've actually talked to my friend Prince about this, as well as my friend Laurel and my friend Irving, about this whole situation. Now, in my opinion, I really do believe that it should be Eva Marie to be the one that took her out, because Eva Marie, she was on fire before she got her wellness policy violation for not turning in her medical work on time. Now, she was actually gearing to be the women's champion because she'll put so much heat on that belt that it'll make that belt look great. I really do want it to be Eva Marie. I want Eva Marie to be the chick that took her out. It's a given, and it could be Natalya. They might put it in Natalya because Natalya wants to be seen. But let's be real. Nobody cares about Natalya anymore. I'm sorry. They don't. I hate to sound like that, but they don't. Not a lot of people care about her. And let's be honest. I don't see Natalya there that long. I do see maybe a few more years out of her, and then she's done. I don't see her going any further because they're not going to push her any further. But I really do hope that it would be Eva Marie, because Eva Marie would be an amazing heel to be pushed forward. She has the amazing theme music. The only thing is that she's not all red everything anymore. Maybe she'll change her entire tone, be all black everything will be a little bit off-putting for some people. But honestly, I think all black everything will be cool. But other than that, I'm hoping it'll be Eva Marie. But let's move on to the match itself. This was not stellar to me. It was definitely subpar. It was a given that the Raw side had far more women that were a lot more talented and a lot. They were definitely a lot of crowd sitters. I can't think of the word right now, but they're huge draws. Like, they're bigger draws on Raw side than it is on SmackDown side, even though SmackDown side has a little bit more talent, except for Carmella. She's just there. But other than that, yeah, you got, for some reason, I don't know why they had Dana Brooke out there, period, as a mascot, which is a huge insult. And I know Dana Brooke has issues with confidence, as well as her amazing botches in the ring, which amazing I'm using in a bad way. She's not really that good. I'm not saying she's horrible, but the fact is she is very concerned about hurting people. She has no confidence, zero confidence at all. And I know they wanted to have her out there to have her 5 minutes, but it's just a complete travesty being a part of a Big Four pay-per-view and not being involved at all, but just being a mascot or a valet. It's an insult, unless that's what your role is supposed to be. Like Maurice. Maurice did an amazing job in the IC match. But before I go into that, I'm just going to say for the women's match, it just really wasn't eye-catching. I really didn't care much about it. It was great to see Sasha Banks there, but it was all a setup for the Charlotte versus Bayley feud that they're actually trying to build up for another pay-per-view. And just trying to get rid of Sasha and everybody else altogether. And on Raw, they did kind of state something between her and Nia Jax. But other than that, it was nothing for me. It didn't really do anything for me. And it's a shame because they did so much to to beef up the women's revolution. And it just seems like it's starting to die out really fast. And that's the sad part. They did so much with these women only to bring them down. And that's a heartbreaker for me. But let's move on to the IC match. If I have to say the biggest crowd pleaser not biggest crowd pleaser for me, but I will say definitely the folks in Canada, and I'm going to talk about the crowd. The crowd was electric. I love the crowd in Toronto. I love the crowd in Canada. They had so much energy in them. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was amazing. But honestly, the IC match itself, it would have been great to see Sami Zayn actually take the title, but defect the SmackDown. But I did not like the finish. I didn't enjoy the finish at all, knowing that Maurice was the one that actually hit the ring. And I was kind of confused on why Sami Zayn thought he won, even though he was putting him in submission and he was actually facing him to see whether or not he could tap. But for some reason, he thought he won. Yeah, I never really got that. But other than that, it was a shame that Sami Zayn didn't win, only for him to defect the SmackDown. It would have been a better storyline for me, or a better ending for me, for him to be like, you know what, I'm done with Raw, I'm on SmackDown now. It would have been great to see that. But now The Miz actually retains, even though The Miz did an amazing job as a heel title holder. I think he's done an amazing job with the IC belt. So I don't mind The Miz still being champion. I just don't like the fact that Maurice got involved in that way. I don't like the finish. But other than that, I can't take away how great the match was. The match really was great. But I know I didn't say that there was a lot of matches of the night for me. But I have to say that there still isn't a lot of matches of the night for me. But leading on to the finish of one of the matches was by far one of the best. And I have to say the 10-on-10, big, huge, massive cluster of a mess of a tag team Survivor Series match, which was extraordinarily chaotic, had the most amazing finish I have ever seen. I love Sheamus and Cesaro. Even though they get along and they bicker like an old couple, these guys are amazing in the ring. I did not like the beginning because I felt like the eliminations were way too quick. The fact that the New Day got eliminated way too quick showed how weak they are as champions, and also shows that they should not have the belts at all, in my opinion. But down the line, leading on to the finish of the entire match, Cesaro and Sheamus just tore the freaking house down. Them and the Usos. It shows how great the Usos have become as being heels. They are far better now as heels than they will ever be as baby faces. But seeing them going up against Sheamus and Cesaro, that was amazing. That's why I can't necessarily say it's the match of the night, because the match has to be amazing all the way, like completely throughout, in order for it to be a match of the night. I have to say, leading on up to the end, leading on up to the finish, was amazing. But I can't say this was a match of the night because, number one, the eliminations were far too quick. And number two, it just dragged on towards the middle. But leading on up to the end, when you had Sheamus and Cesaro versus the Usos, amazing match. I can't say how great the finish was. I enjoyed that wholeheartedly. Now, okay. I think I talked about pretty much most of the matches. Oh yeah, I guess I can have to talk about the cruiserweights. Doggone it. I was so disappointed with this because it doesn't make any sense to keep the cruiserweights on Raw. They're going to be completely eclipsed. Everything that the Cruiserweight Classic has done for these cruiserweights is all in vain. It is. You got so excited for the Cruiserweight division to be coming to the main roster after the Cruiserweight Classic that the momentum of the Cruiserweights is starting to die out. I know they're trying to make it different with the whole purple stuff, but the thing of it is that being on Raw is making an eclipse towards the main roster as a whole. Like they're literally being engulfed by the main roster. They're completely eclipsed. And the one thing that I have heard multiple times, and they have a point with this, is that WCW did it right. They had their cruiserweights at the beginning, which gets you all hyped up towards the middle of the show and towards the end of the show. They don't do that with the cruiserweights. They're kind of ignoring them. They're not putting them in storylines. They're not getting them anywhere invested or involved in anything for you to be emotionally invested and involved in them. They're just having them in matches. How are you supposed to care about these people if they're not in a storyline for the long run? And I'm going to be honest, I love Brian Kendrick. Brian Kendrick is one of my favorite cruiserweights. But he is not that good of a champion. I'm sorry, he isn't. He hasn't really made me emotionally invested in him as a champion. He really tries to put on a pathetic thing, the pathetic, attitude saying I have to win this is my last, even though the guy is in his mid-30s. And honestly, I think it should have stayed on TJP. Like, TJ Perkins should have still been champion up until maybe a Big Four, possibly until the Royal Rumble, or maybe for WrestleMania. That's just my opinion. Like, if he actually lost it, I hope that he was champion on up to Survivor Series or maybe to the Rumble. But it's like they really haven't done much with them. So the fact that you had Baron Corbin to be the guy to disqualify Kalisto and ruin everything bugged the crap out of me. It's like they're literally trying to shoehorn in Baron Corbin to give him some sort of significance on SmackDown when he has none. I'm sorry. Baron Corbin was as good as his feud that he had with Dolph Ziggler, and it will never go forward from there. He is going to be a waste of space until he comes up with some kind of, something to make his character relevant. At this point, he's not. And the fact that he actually did interrupt that match and cause disqualification makes no sense because he doesn't like the cruiserweights. And yes, I did see SmackDown. That's a dumb excuse. I'm sorry, it is. There's no reason for Baron Corbin to even be there, let alone for interrupting a match. And not being in a feud with Kalisto, saying, I don't like Kalisto, I just don't like the cruiserweights. The cruiserweights was his reason why he didn't want the division to come. That's just stupid. I'm sorry, it really is. And I'm tired of seeing Baron Corbin on my screen. Let alone, his music alone is stupid. Like, why would the music be called Superhuman if you're known as a lone wolf? That makes no sense. And as you can see, I don't really have much love for Baron Corbin. The guy can be amazing if he really wanted to be. But I know the guy's a giant tool behind the scenes. I've actually did see the documentaries about him. Whether or not it's actually a reality show, I don't know. But it's not really well liked behind the scenes. But I'm not really going to go there, even though I did. But other than that, I don't really like Baron Corbin because of what they're doing with his character. And I don't like the fact that they're trying to shoehorn him in for us to care. And we're not. Well, at least I'm speaking for myself. I don't. And that really did piss me off. More so than the Maurice finish. That finish alone angered me. Because I really did want to see a good cruiserweight match. And there was so much on the line here. And it just, honestly, just got completely axed for that reason. There was so much on the line for this. This was probably the only match that had something on the line. And it should have been treated that way. But in this case, it wasn't, with Baron Corbin coming out randomly. But other than that, guys, I'm going to move on to the main event. I believe that I've already discussed all the Survivor Series matches. If I missed one, by all means, leave it in the comments. I'm not going to talk about the kickoff. I usually don't even watch those. But I'm going to talk about the main event. I have literally made enough gripes about how I personally feel about Bill Goldberg. Now, I don't necessarily like the finish. I still don't. People are saying, oh, it's genius. It's not genius at all. For those that actually did see a documentary about Bill Goldberg that was on the network, or for those that actually did watch Goldberg's matches. Now, as a kid, I didn't necessarily care because I thought Bill Goldberg was amazing. But going back to watching his matches literally made me realize this guy cannot hold a tune. Well, not really a tune. He just can't really hold a match. This guy can only go about less than 2 minutes, and then he'll be gassed around 3. For those that actually saw his match between him and William Regal, he couldn't last. He was actually out of gas. And that's the biggest problem for me. I think I've already done a discussion video about him possibly going to the Rumble and how long he's going to last there, and he's not. We actually did get, from what a lot of people said, a Goldberg style match, which means the match actually had Goldberg being extraordinarily dominant, no offense from the opponent, and he was done in less than 2 minutes. That's pretty much what it is. It's like a bride being disappointed on her wedding night, thinking she's going to have about maybe 5 minutes of passion. She only gets 1. And I hate to sound that crude, but this is the way I pretty much feel. Even though I haven't really been in that situation, I can't really clean it up. I'm sorry. I've tried, but I'm just being real here. That's how a lot of people felt watching this match. And I know a lot of people are like, this is the most emotion I've ever felt in a long time. And I'm like, it's great that you feel that way, but the match overall was bad. And yes, Brock Lesnar has been built up as a beast for years. It would have been nice to see how well he can go, for them going toe-to-toe and having a decent match at least 5 minutes, but we didn't get any of that, which really does make me a bit concerned having Goldberg in anything else. But I'm not going to go too much into that because I've already done a video on that. The thing of it is, that match was bad. It was overall bad. It was worse than WrestleMania 20. By far, it was. And people are like saying, well, it wasn't that bad because at least, and I think I probably said this before. I can't remember. I've done too many of these. But at least Brock Lesnar was able to push Goldberg. So at least something happened. They weren't sitting there staring at each other for 10 minutes. At least something happened. I am not going to say that anymore. I know I said that on Twitter, but I'm being real. That's a pathetic excuse. It really is. If they honestly think that they're... And don't let your analytical minds fool you. I said this before in my video. Do not let your hypotheses or whatever, don't let your analytical mind, don't let your theories, don't let your hypotheses, whatever, get in the way of what trash is. This is trash. It was by far trash. It will always be trash because we know that Goldberg cannot go. The only possible way that he can prove me wrong is if they have him as number 1 at the Rumble. If he's able to go at least 5 minutes, I will stand corrected. But after that garbage monstrosity of a match, it shows me that that guy is just as pathetic as he was 12 years ago for WrestleMania 20. I'm just going to say that. But other than that, guys, those are my overall thoughts towards Survivor Series. That is how I feel over the overall matches. What are your thoughts about Survivor Series? I know this is late, but there you go. Those are my thoughts, and I want to hear your opinion. Naturegirl 30 signing off. Peace out. Later.